All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Brian Laufer, and I am the Vice President here at QuoteWerks. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new features added in QuoteWerks version 24 Build 2. If you're on an older version, you can easily update to the latest just by installing version 24 Build 2.07. Yes, we are on 2.07 now, so if you're on an earlier build of 2, you might want to update. But if you do need to update, you do not need to install incremental updates. When you install an update, you receive all of the features and fixes available up to and including the build or version you just installed. So just a little bit of housekeeping here. If you have questions while we go along, please feel free to ask them in the GoToWebinar toolbar questions box. If there are any questions that I do not answer throughout the demo, I will do my best to answer them towards the end. They can be about this release or QuoteWerks in general. If you think of a question after the webinar or I do not fully answer your question, make sure to email or give us a call. Community@quoteworks.com would be the best for this webinar. So as you can see, like normal, we'll have a short PowerPoint presentation first to discuss some of the new features. They're not all the new features, but they do give you a good idea of what's in this build. And then we'll actually be demonstrating the key features for you in QuoteWerks, followed by the opportunity to ask more questions as well. So just like any QuoteWerks build update, we've got integration updates as well. In this, we have support for Sugar Serum 14.0, Goldmine 2024.2, new features for QuickBooks Online, ConnectWise PSA, and others as well. So in version 24, the initial 24 release, we added a lot of support for ZIP+4 addresses with the address corrections and sales tax enhancements. But as we had it out in the field and people were using it a lot more than our test and beta groups, we ran into some edge cases. And some of those edge cases had to do with like new construction, maybe other unverifiable address types, or especially territories like Puerto Rico and Guam, where they actually don't always have a ZIP+4, but they have a zip. So we were running into some difficulties with that when it was coming back through the APIs that we were using. So we made some adjustments for that to make it so it's much cleaner for you. Also, using the API for the address correction, it was coming back with all caps. That wasn't very friendly. So we made it so it has proper case now as well. So that's some of the big stuff that we added in build 2 here. Also, one of the reasons I like going to events is because I'm able to talk face-to-face with our customers. We talk about what they like, what they don't like, and what can improve their sales processes with QuoteWerks. At last IT Nation Connect, I met with 2 different people, and they both needed required fields on the ConnectWise PSA opportunity. And also this was something that was also on our feature request forum as well. So all of those things combined made it so that we did add 4 fields that you can make required now outside of the normal ConnectWise required fields. So now type, description, source, and campaign can be required fields. It can be all of them or any variation in between. If the options are required, the ConnectWise opportunity will not be able to be created or updated unless these fields are specified. It's a really cool feature. Now, this is going to be a site-wide setting. It's not going to be on a user-by-user basis, however. So the QuickBooks Online write-in ship-to address. Well, this is a feature request that was on our feature request forum. And QuickBooks Online has the ability to have write-in ship-to addresses. This wasn't always the case, however. I'm not sure when they added it, but we now support it as well. But prior to this option, any ship-to company had to exist in QuickBooks Online in order to use it on a QuickBooks document. Now with this option, we try to use an existing address if it does exist, but if it doesn't, we'll just write in on the QuickBooks estimate or invoice, basically limiting the number of one-off companies that are created in QuickBooks. Obviously, if you want us to create that ship-to customer, we can still do that. And the original prompt to create as well as create are still there as well. Again, this is a site-wide setting. So with all of the changes that we've been making to the user properties or settings lately, QuoteWerks admins have been wanting to have better visibility as to when QuoteWerks users were created or modified. And this is either in desktop or in web. So now when you edit the user, you can actually see when it was created as well as when it was last modified, along with the times as well. So that'll be helpful to track down when things were changed or maybe updated regarding a specific user. If you've been using QuoteWerks for a while, you know that the manufacturer part number is one of the most important values on a product in a QuoteWerks product database. Basically, when creating new products, we were verifying that the part number did not already exist, but when changing an existing product, we were not. So this was causing issues with duplicate parts in the database, and this has finally been addressed. So basically, if you were to have edited an existing product and it's had the same part number as an existing one, then it will prompt you to let you know, hey, it already exists, we can't reuse that. For Ingram micro users, and this is going to be Ingram micro users across the globe, we now support price and availability requests using their JSON APIs, in addition to the quote APIs that we were already supporting. And we're currently working on the online ordering APIs as well. In the meantime, XML still works with Ingram Micro. So for years, we've said that we do not release a product roadmap. This has enabled us to be nimble as projects arise or priorities change. But based on the feedback that we've received, we've decided to release a limited roadmap. These are projects that are in active development. What you will not see on this roadmap, however, are dates. You will see new features being added for QuoteWerks Desktop, QuoteWerks Web, as well as combined features as well. And this is available right on the customer area. I'll show that to you towards the end of the webinar. But some things that are of super importance for some people, we are adding a new PSA. Halo PSA will be added to QuoteWerks. We're adding for QuoteValet the ability to have multiple signatures on a document. And sometimes that's co-signing. Sometimes you might need two signatures from one company and another from a totally unrelated company. QuoteValet will be able to handle that. Also, we're adding multiple contacts for the QuoteWerks built-in contact database. And then for QuoteWerks Web, we're adding procurement as well, which is huge. And that's going to also include the ability to send purchase orders over to ConnectWise, Autotask, as well as QuickBooks Online. So pretty cool stuff. The first feature that we added based on the roadmap was for QuoteWerks Web, we added the configurator setup. So this just gives you a good overview as far as things that are happening with QuoteWerks. So if you don't already go to the customer area on the website, I highly recommend it. And if we have time at the end of this webinar and people want to see it, I will spend some time showing off QuoteWerks Web, including how these new features translate from desktop to web. So also the QuoteWerks Trends in IT Procurement Survey was last month. We are currently in the process of compiling the report, which, as it always does, sheds some very interesting details. And this should be released by mid-June at the latest. It'll probably be before that. If you're going to be at ASCII Denver, please make sure to stop by our booth. That is, I think it's next week. If you are interested in going, please email community@quoteworks.com, as we do have a limited number of free passes. And also a reminder, if you have questions as we go along with the live demo, ask them in the GoToWebinar question box. The webinar will be recorded. And if you want to stay up to date with all things QuoteWerks, make sure to follow us on social media. This way you'll know about new updates, features, webinars, events that we'll be at, and more. And the last thing we'll talk about here are the resources available to you. We have free trials, videos, help documentation. We've updated the help documentation for Build 2. All of that is available for you. We have live and recorded webinars, as you're well aware of, professional services, training. We have some amazing partners out there that know QuoteWerks. Some know it very well, and they've written add-ons, and they can be complete solution partners for you. So if you do not already work for a partner, that is a resource that could be available to you. Also, we offer free email and phone support. If when you email support, it creates a ticket automatically for you, but you can always pick up the phone and give us a call. And if you want a trial for like QuoteValet or QuoteWerks Web, feel free to contact sales@quoteworks.com. All right, so with that, let's take a look at QuoteWerks Build 2. I think the best thing to do is to kind of talk about the required fields for ConnectWise opportunities. And while I'm going through this, if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to ask down below. All right, so the settings for these required fields are just like they always are for anything that is CRM related. We're going to go to Contacts and set up Contact Manager. I'm going to select ConnectWise here and go to ConnectWise Setup. Chugging along. All right. And then if we go over to opportunities, you'll see that we have required fields here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make it so that the source and campaign are going to be required fields. That way, when I go to save my first document here for ConnectWise, it'll require me to use these fields. The other required fields that were already there, those aren't changing, but these are the 4 that you have available to you now. If there are any ones that you'd like to see added, add them to our feature request on our website. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on OK, and OK one last time. So let's go ahead and do a very simple quote here. We'll do a look for Joe's Brewing, and we'll go ahead and add them. You can see I've got a lot of active quotes there, and I'll just go ahead and bring them on over for Ship To and Build To, and then we'll go ahead and add a product real quick. We're going to be spending some time with this one, so we'll go ahead and add it. All right, so again, we're going to do a very simple quote. I'm going to go ahead and save it. We're just going to create that sales opportunity, and we'll click on OK. All right, so you remember what I said, that the source and campaign are going to be required. So if I click on save, it's letting me know that I can't because the source and campaign cannot be blank, and you'll notice it did not go on. So I'll go ahead and select a campaign and try it one more time. And again, source needs to be filled out. So that's why like the type could be required, a description could be required, that sort of thing. We'll just say web and click on save. And just like that, it went ahead and saved it. All right, we had our first question come in from Russ. I know you integrate with Zoho CRM, but will you be looking to connect with Zoho Books? Zoho Books is something we've had some requests for. We've had a lot more requests for Halo PSA, so that's why we're adding that one next. For Zoho Books, if you haven't done so already, make sure to add it to our feature request on our website. After I go through some of these features, I'll show you how to get to that. All right. Let's see. Next one here would be the QuickBooks Online write-in ship to addresses. So this is really easy to get to. You can get to the QuickBooks Online setup just by clicking on the QuickBooks button here and then setup down there. And this is going to log into our QuickBooks Online account. And then when it comes to the ship to customer, right now I've got it prompt to create, but this way we can say do not create right in on the fly, and that's all you have to do. Once that setting is set, it's just going to go right on over to QuickBooks Online. Just writing in the item, it's not going to prompt you to do so. The new feature that I talked about earlier about the created or modified for the user, you can see that by going into the utilities menu, user maintenance. And we could go to Brian here and edit him. And you can see the created on as well as the last modified. If I go over here and make a quick change, maybe Brian shouldn't have access to the contact my reseller. I'll go ahead and click on OK. And now if I go back over to edit Brian, you'll see that it is now last modified now. And that field is available in the database for reporting as well. The manufacturer part number is pretty simple. So if I go back to my products here, you'll see that I have the 13A21. So if I were to create a brand new item, 13A21, it's going to say, hey, it already exists, which makes sense. But if I wanted to go ahead and edit this existing item right here, before it wouldn't let me do the one, it would allow me to go ahead and create this one. If I click on OK, it's going to let me know that it already exists. I just had a comment here from Matt saying that one of our partners, Max, has an integration with Zoho Books, and it works well for one of his clients. No point in reinventing the wheel. Good point, Matt. Thank you for that. And that is available on our website. We've got a listing of all of our add-ons. Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot all about that integration. All right. So as you can see, it will now prompt you for that. When it comes to like the addresses, so let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and clear these. Oops. And let's go ahead and do a last name of Brewer. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Jill Brewer instead of Joe Brewer this time. And so this is actually an address that is in, yeah, so as you can see, it's letting me know that it wasn't available. Oh, it wasn't letting me bring it in because it had a problem with the address. I apologize. But in any case, if it was to be a Puerto Rican address, it would let me know that it was not available. I'll do a video on that so you guys can see that in the future. But basically, it's going to go ahead and fix it. It's going to let you know about that address. So now what you can do when I go to retrieve the tax rate, it's not going to give me an error about the address not being found. It's going to allow me to go ahead and then manually select the appropriate tax rate. That was something that before it was like, I don't know what to do because it didn't have the +4. So that's kind of what we were doing there. All right, so we'll go ahead and select that and it updates the tax rate for Ocean Lab Brewing, and that is an actual brewing company. All right, so yes, so for Ingram micro users, let's go to the tools menu and then options, and we'll go to real-time and real-time setup. So if I go to Ingram micro here, what you'll notice is that I have my XML at the top, and then I have JSON at the bottom. Ingram Micro is in the process of phasing out their XML API and moving over to the JSON only APIs. So right now, if you have information in the XML, we will continue to do price and availability from there. If you don't have it in there, we will go ahead and use the JSON for those creds. So it allows you to do either one. And this works in all regions, USA, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, Belgium, France, Netherlands, and New Zealand as well. And the great thing about us rewriting this API is it will open us up for more countries for online ordering, as well as online ordering for QuoteWerks Web as well. And there really isn't anything to show other than where the setup is for this. It all happens behind the scenes. And show you where, first, where the customer area is. You'll notice at the very top here, we've got customer area. If I click on that, you'll see right at the top, we have the roadmap. So this is where you can see what is coming. You can also see what the current release is as well. If you have a feature request, you can go to our forum, and if you don't already have a login, you can create one. In order to go to our feature request, you do have to have a login. And if you've ever submitted a support ticket or anything like that, you already have a login. It's the same interface that we use for that. And then Matt had a good point about the integration. So I want to make sure that we show you the accounting integrations that we have. So I went under integrations. So we have the integrations for like QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, but we also have third-party integrations as well. And as you can see, we've got a number of third-party integrations available, and they're right here on the website. Okay, so I think that's everything that I wanted to go over today. I wanted to kind of keep this webinar a little bit shorter. I know they tend to go a little bit longer. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. What we'll do is I'll go ahead and bring up QuoteWerks Web and kind of show off some things. If you have questions while I'm going along there, feel free to do so. I'm gonna go ahead and log into a different instance of QuoteWerks Desktop here. It's just going to take a moment. So with QuoteWerks Web, you have the ability to use either, I should say with QuoteWerks Web, you can either use QuoteWerks Desktop or QuoteWerks Online, or QuoteWerks Web or QuoteWerks Desktop. You can use either one. So we'll go ahead and log in. They're using the same database. As you make changes in one, it's going to be making changes in the other. So if I click on Web here, it's going to go ahead and bring me right to here. Obviously, you don't have to go this way. You could just go to QuoteWerks.com and just go to login up here, and then that's how you could log in as well. All right. So when it comes to QuoteWerks Web, you can see, you're about to see how easy it is to use. If I wanted to create a new quote from a template, you'll notice that it is exactly the same as QuoteWerks Desktop is as far as the interface, because we wanted to make sure that it would be very easy to go from one to the other without having to retrain your staff. Simple things like if we wanted to use calculations, that these all still exist. So you'll notice that in here we've got the different items here that are automatically updated, and just like that, I created a quote from a template. If I wanted to, I could bring in a contact. In this case, I'll just go, so we've got this over here. Everything that we've got in desktop, again, is here as well. If I wanted to, I'll go ahead and bring this guy over here, and you can see that my tax rate is actually correct, but I could go ahead and verify. It's going to go ahead and do that, and it's adding the zip +4, so we'll go ahead and use that verified address, and it's just updating everything here. So as you can see, we've got that all right there. So as far as the interface is concerned, it's very similar. If you have any questions, feel free to ask here. If you're ever curious about any updates or anything coming to QuoteWerks, for QuoteWerks Web, we list all of them right here on our website for as far as any new features added to QuoteWerks Web. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and save this document. I'm going to go ahead and just save it really quickly here and do it offline. Obviously, we'd have the ability to save it back to ConnectWise. I'm not going to do that in this case. When it comes to delivering the quote, it's exactly the same as it would have been on desktop. You'll notice that we're still using our FPC files, and we'll go ahead and upload this to QuoteValet. And now we can go ahead and take a look at it. So as you can see, it's very simple, but it has so much power as far as what it is able to do. You can see that this really did allow for that quote to be produced rather easily in the cloud. And then from here, if we wanted to, we have the ability to then send the email, again, just like we would have on desktop. Question from Sarah, is it faster than the desktop version? It really depends on what we're doing. QuoteWerks Web allows us to do some things that desktop doesn't, but it just depends as far as what you're doing, and some things are faster, some things are slower, most things are about the same. It just feels like it's faster because you kind of see the animations and whatnot that you're kind of used to in the web. All right, so with that, if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them for you now. Otherwise, I think this is a good breaking point. We're about 30 minutes in. So if you haven't already upgraded to build 2.07, I invite you to do so. As you can see, QuoteWerks Web here is letting me know that I am on 2.07 for desktop. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email support@quotewerks.com. This video should be on our website in the next day or two, and that way you can go ahead and review that as well. So with that, have a great day.